Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for taking time out of your day and coming by to uh, be with us this morning. A couple things I want to say that's pressing me and that's on my chest that I must get it off is that while we are in a state of emergency, I see a lot of things happening across our communities and across this country. I think that even though we are in a state of emergency, this is the time for the big you and all of us to emerge, needs to emerge from all of us. I know that we're keeping our social distances, but we can't lose our emotional distance and we can't lose our moral distance. I was on the phone yesterday, several phone calls coming in about how are we handling evictions, how are we handling the writs. And I want to explain something because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I want people to understand something, that this office will always do what is legal. And at the same time, we try to balance legal, moral, and a touch of humanity. When we went into a state of emergencies, there were several writs that had already been signed, which means that we have 7 days to execute them from the time they have been signed. They were signed prior to the state of emergency. Currently, just in this county, we have approximately 76 writs that we have to serve, lock out, put out, however you translate that. By law, that's what we have to do. I talked with Mecklenburg. Mecklenburg has about the same number. Guilford has about 50 something. If you translate that throughout the state, it comes to probably several hundred. But here's the thing, all of us have been in conversation on the phone. We have legal obligations. At the same time, we have moral compasses. And so I've been on the phone with the chief judge here, Judge Menifee. I've been on the phone with the Josh Steins, the Attorney General. I've been on the phone with some legal minds here in this county. And basically, there's conversation going on as we speak right now to try to do something to alleviate, to suspend that window of those 76 that have been caught prior to the state of emergency. And because of that, unless that is signed, we will have to execute those by law. The sheriff's office is a constitutional animal, and we will have to execute those. Now, what that means is if, which I feel that she will, if Justice Menifee, the Judge Menifee signs them this morning, what that means is they will give those 76 people a relief right now during this state of emergency. Then the Chief Justice Beasley will have to sign off on it as well. That is way above my pay grade, way above where I sit. What I wanted you to understand is what the sheriff's office is doing, some of the resources that we are applying out in the community. We are currently working with partners to try to make sure that we have adequate water supply, food supply, should our elderly or our senior citizen population need anything. We're trying to make sure that we have deployed our resources, our SROs, to make sure that during the feeding times, lunch distribution, that we are there for the people and the family. Because during this state of emergency, we all are stressed, and we're not trying to put any more strain on the system than we have to. I met with Mr. Vernon, who's head of emergency management yesterday. There are currently no food deserts. We have ample food supply, is what I was told. I met with Mr. Swift yesterday, who is head of our health department. Matter of fact, we did a podcast with them yesterday to ensure the public that we're in front of this. We are doing everything we can to make sure that we stay in front of it. And we want to be transparent during these times because we do not want to fuel the panic. I think that sometimes situations dictate our own self-fulfilling prophecies, our panic that we're creating panic in the grocery stores, we're creating panic in our community, panic that is not necessarily needed. And I think that how we look at a situation will determine how we respond to it. And my reason and my purpose is trying to be out front of this is to ensure the residents of this county that we have partnerships and layers in place to make sure that we wrap not only our resources, around this community, but wrap our understanding and try to give you understanding of what's going on in our community. As most of you know, we have suspended the visitation at the detention center. We've done that. Most of you know, you heard us state last week that everyone entering the detention center, even the men and women that work there, are being tested. Their temperatures, we're measuring their temperature against how they're feeling, and if they're not feeling well and their temperature exceeds the number that we have, 100, is that correct? Then we're sending them home. We're doing everything humanly possible to make sure that we give and provide the same service level that we have provided for the county and for the residents.